we're going to take 10 or 15 minutes. We have some drawings on the front and in the back of the room. They're all identical. We also have comment sheets that are sitting on the table over there that we're kind of just asking you to comment on all the drawings or give us any kind of feedback that you like or don't like or things that you want to see. We're going to take the public comment that we get very seriously. This is a facility that we're building in your neighborhood. We want it to be what fits your guys' needs, so we're going to look really hard at that. Also, Daniel Altamano is with us from Dewberry Associates. They're the architects that are on board with us for this project. So in about 10 minutes, Daniel's going to run through a PowerPoint. For those of you who would like to address the Board of Commissioners, there's a sign-up sheet over there. We're asking you to sign in, and then you'll have 3 minutes as board policy. Typically, and I believe the case is the same tonight, I'm speaking for the board, but they'll listen to your comments, but they don't respond. But we will listen. But we're asking everybody to please fill out those comment sheets. We do want to hear what you have to say. So it's about 6:02. At about lunch, and kind of look around the drawings. At 6:10, we'll start on the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will reflect what are on the wall. But they're the same identical drawings on the front wall and on the back wall. And Daniel, myself, and the board around if you have any questions. But so we're going to take, like I said, about the next 7 or 8 minutes if you want to look at those. And then we'll get started. If nobody wants to look at it, we can jump right in the PowerPoint. Okay.
Hopefully everybody can see that. What I'm going to run through is, as Dominic just mentioned, are the images that we have on the wall. There's probably about 30 slides. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you. The good news is it's not done by PowerPoint. I'm not going to read them to you either, because you can read them on the wall. But I will take any questions that you might have as we go through here. So, as Dominic said, it's really meant to be more of a dialogue. These are some initial thoughts that we have about the community center that we're proposing in your neighborhood, and things that will be in it. Indoor turf is a big portion of it. If you look at the drawings, you see that big purple box. That's the indoor turf area, and I'm going to show you some images also of some of the inside spaces, what they might look like based on other facilities we did, and they're similar in scale. Walking track, fitness center that certainly people can belong to, and the idea there is that there will be lockers and showers. If you're a fitness member, you know, you use those amenities. Obviously, the rest of the multi-purpose rooms, there'll be a couple that will be dividable, and I'll show you that. Child care area, that will have 20 children, and storage and parking space as well. So the first item that we got here is the lacrosse soccer field. We'll have 2 fields. That red line is meant to be a divider curve, overhead divider curve. It's going to drop down. So if we have youth programs, want to run the crossways on the field. If we have adults in our high school, junior high, we put curtain up and we can run on the field at full dimensions. Then that perimeter track area is probably thought to be 2-lane walking track. It's part of the neighborhood of 8 laps per mile, so it's a nice track. You're not going to get dizzy. You're not going to lose count where you're at. 8 is an easier number to remember than if it was 13 or so. Portable goals storage, so goals will be stored in the building. They'll come out, whether they're youth goals or they're adult goals on the end. Will be also components with the artificial turf. It will be for spikes as opposed to flat shoes, better for the athletes and the field as well, whether it be lacrosse and or soccer. This facility just opened up last year in March. It's in Romeoville, so you might have seen it. It's on Route 59. I show you this picture because it is indoor turf, and this is about the size of the scale that we're proposing right now. When you see these drawings, that's kind of what we have in mind. It's a tall space, and the turf there, you see the goals. At the lighter curtain, those curtains go up and down as well. So just to give you a reference point of what that might look like in your facility. And then this is a cross court, so they have an elevated mezzanine. So I took a picture there, and I'm looking at when we play on crossways, and then you can see the striping for the main court. So the orange is cross court, and the white is the main field. Baseball practice in field. We can play there. If you were a youth program and you're using 45-foot bases, You could actually have a divider curtain and have somebody playing soccer next to it or some other program going on. Obviously, if it's 60 or 90, the curtain has to be up, and but just to show you an idea of scale, how it would fit in here. So again, it is meant for baseball as well as soccer, lacrosse, other things that you can play there as well. Entryway, somebody may recognize this picture. This is from a facility we did in Lockport. It's a Challenge Fitness. I show it because it's kind of the character that we're thinking about your building, something that has a vibrant aspects of color, pattern, and exposed ceiling, lighting, so that when you walk in, there will be a control desk. On the left there is the fitness area, not necessarily going to be how it will be in your facility, but it gives you an idea of the openness and the visibility that you have if you're inside space or you're outside for control and safety. Image on the left is just some renderings that we'll do and look at as we look at further in your project. Fitness center is 5,000 square feet. This is a 5,000 square foot facility that we did a couple years ago for my own park district, Dundee Township Park District. That's a 5,000 square foot space in the bottom. Those are rendering that we would do. We do a similar aspect when we start working more on your project. And that would be engaging a manufacturer that has fitness equipment, and it helps you to understand, okay, the area on the left here of this screen is really meant for more of the freeway area, strength training, cross training, and the area in the center is more strength training. That's a circuit that you can do, and on the far right are more of the treadmills, ellipticals, those types of things, more aerobic exercise. So again, it just starts to give you an idea of scale. And when I talk about the bathrooms, that's what we did. This facility, something similar. We all know that it seems like most of us, when we work out, a lot of times we just go home. But if you want to shower, you've got that opportunity here. We're looking at probably 2 to 3 showers. All this is ADA compliant, as well as restrooms. And on the right-hand side, you don't see the image, just a lockers as well. So I think they're very durable. Again, we try to dress them up a little bit with some of the nicer materials. And then this is in that same facility, looking back at the freeway area. So just guys give you an idea of scale and height that we would do the sports flooring on the floor system. Something that's very durable. And again, can take free weights being dropped on them, and or just machines, bench presses, Smith machine on the left. Video equipment that would be in there. We all like to have it. Sometimes it's on the machine, but it's also nice sometimes to have a big platform. So you can watch that Cubs game, Sox game, whatever else, hockey, things going on beyond what you're doing. Adds a little bit more, taking away the pain. Again, and this is in the center of the room, looking at more, getting into where we got the circuits for strength training equipment. Like to have tall ceilings. This is a 12-foot space, so it really makes you feel bigger than it is. And I would imagine, though, that yours is going to be a little bit more exposed structure, more like I showed on that Lockport picture. This is Lockport's, this is their exercise fitness area that we put in for them. This is about 4,000 square feet, so you're larger than this. But again, just an idea, reference point, the back of the room is the strength training. One thing we would look at too that I didn't show you that we actually have an area for stretching. So when you go in there, you can stretch. You can pull down, or you can stretch before you exercise, and we actually have it screened off. So it's part of the component, as well as somebody might want to just walk on the track and go in there and loosen up before you get on the track. Multi-purpose rooms, I mentioned that. We've got a couple of them. With kids programs that can run, we're looking at probably a 30 by 40 space to give you an idea of scale. Again, it has a dividable partition that would separate it. This, you can see that image on the wall there, that line, that's the folding partition that divides this. This is a facility we did in Indiana. This is a ukulele class. The person came to the superintendent in Indiana. Your superintendent is like the executive director. Came to him and said, we'd like to have a music class, and grew into about 30 seniors that are participating in this program. The flooring on there is heat welded, no seams, so it's very clean, and then adding some color and paint, so you can do a lot of things within that space. Images that if it's closed, card playing, other things that can happen. You can do low impact exercises in there. They didn't know they were doing hula hoop, and so they're doing other things in there, but it's meant to be many things that you can do in there that you can possibly think about. Child care area, cubbies, areas that for 20 kids they can go in, put their coat in, like to leave them open, so that we don't have to worry about fingers getting caught in anything, as well as divide them for more cleanliness aspect of putting your personal items next to another person. Children then have everything is scaled to the children, and the nice thing about these spaces is if you have a summer camp going on, this is another image of another room, and it could be, we'll put in a bathroom in that room so that the child has to go to the bathroom. The teacher doesn't have to leave the room, or the person that is with it. And we've got areas for arts, crafts, on the side walls, storage. So it's almost like a classroom that you could have.
I just want to add to, when we talk about childcare, we don't do all-day childcare, so it's for when the families come to use the facility. We have, I think it's an hour and a half, an hour, 45-minute time limit on that. So we can basically babysitting while you're using the facility. It's not all-day childcare. I just want to make sure that we clarify that.
Good point. Yep. Yeah, because we would not have the certificate from the department that we would need. Then just that same room turned over in the summertime and used for a youth camp. That can come in, so you can use it different times for different uses. Obviously, they brought in different tables and chairs, but it just has flexibility. Getting to your part and your project specifically, this is a reference point. What we're looking at is in that red area, the site location around where the old pool was in the parking lot that's currently there along the creek. We're looking at about 3 to 4 acres, and I just put a red line around the perimeter. Currently, we're having now we have civil engineers for the project. They are going out and they're surveying the property. So they're surveying where are all the utilities that are underground, overhead, where the trees located, what's the topography change, anything else that's on there, electrical, mechanical items that might be from the pool. So when we start working on that, we've got a better idea. So we don't know all that yet, but in about another 2 weeks or so, we should have that information compiled and be able to share that with you. But so right now, what we know is that we're taking maps and we're just up at 30,000 feet. We're looking, so we're not into any of the detail yet. But we wanted to get your input more about placement of the building on the site. It relates to parking. It relates to the elements that are there, specifically the pavilion and the math house. And the creek that certainly has a major play about how we orient that. So the next 4 items that we show you, and we have about 7, we actually kind of took them down. But before we get that, just the things that everybody in this room, I'm sure, is very familiar with. Components that are a little hard to see here. It seemed like every day I was there, it was either snowing or raining. Today was a sunny day, so that was good. But the pavilion is a handsome building, and just showing some of the images, kind of hard to see on the slides here. The bathhouse, the topography that we have, we're trying to keep the building on the upside of the hill so we're not coming down into the floodplain. That's another thing that we're going to be identified is the floodplain, the floodway, all those things from the creek. So we don't know yet. Before we might have a building, we have to move it a little bit. But it's just right now, these are basic ideas. Of course, while it's there in the wintertime, and tree line that you have there is nice. Relationship, you've got parking there. What can we do with that? The site slope, the way it goes up in elevation from the pavilion up to the bathhouse. It's not a flat site, so we do have topography to work with. Which then gets us to site concept A. And I put on here the parking and the approximate acres that we're disturbing. So this is about 4 acres that we're looking at. That perimeter line is kind of hard to read, but that's if we were putting up a construction fence, that's where that fence would be during the construction of the improvements where the public would not go while it was being improved. The parking, you kind of see is L shape. The stormwater detention basin in the downside of the hill to the north. And that's a dry basin. It's not going to hold water. It might hold water on a day like today after we got the heavy rains we did last night. There might be some water in there. But for the most part, it's going to be dry. We would have more native plants in there. And the building then is on the left, closer to the pavilion. In this scheme, the bathhouse isn't there. You see, it kind of ghosted it so you can have a reference point. When you look at the other drawings, you'll be able to see. I'm going to show you schemes where the bathhouse is there and moves in another location. But this one, if we were building this on a flat site, we would have about 150 parking spaces. We use a rule of thumb, 3 cars for every 1,000 square feet. This is about a 50,000 square foot building, so we need about 150 cars. So we're at 115, probably 75 to 80% of the time we're going to be fine. There will be peak times that if something's going on or a special event, that maybe you have to park on the north side over by the ball field, walk across the bridge to get to it. Good news is it is a bigger park. So what we're showing there, the big box, I'll call it, is that turf area that I showed you with the track. And then the L-shaped ring on there, the outdoor things that aren't resolved yet will be later on down the road. The fitness area, that multi-purpose room, the daycare, bathrooms, and storage, and all the other things that you need to have operating in a functional building. So the entrance is coming off the east, from a drop-off area. We anticipate there'll be buses here, other things, some other programs going on, mom and dad, siblings picking up siblings, so put an area that's safe for drop-off, and as well as all the parking on the. Concept B, 3 acres, less impact, less parking. The good news is there's less impact on this site. You've got beautiful trees on that property, so we're trying to be as smart as we can be, where we're not trying to disturb Mother Nature if we don't have to. In this one, the building is shifted now back on that, more on the parking that's there currently. And it's a nicer relationship from the pavilion because this is about a 4-story high building. It's 40 feet high, 25 feet high, so it's 4.5 stories. The pavilion is probably 18 feet or so, maybe 20. So scale-wise, we would like to keep this big element over maybe to the side of this scheme. The trees start to get a nice tree line and they're tall, help to break down the height. Parking then is more in the center where the pool was. The big stormwater basin is, if you will, where the bathhouse is, and then we've got some parking also right off the Mills Road down the bottom. So we're trying to get every square inch that we can for parking. And the entrance is on the west side. So if you're coming down Chicago Street, you can see it as you came around the corner. And then the perimeter of the area you can see as far as what we're looking at construction. Concept C, 3 acres. 76 parking spaces, and the reduction of parking is because we have a bathhouse. If the bathhouse stays, we need to stay, but keep that parking away. That building is about 50 feet, to give you an idea from the bathhouse, so we're pulling it back, getting it as close as we can, but it would be something that would be freestanding and not improved as part of the project. All the funds that we've got are really going to the hardscape, landscape, and the building itself as far as the community center. So again, it's similar to what we had shown in the concept B. It's shifting over parking differences, bathhouse stays, and get a little less parking. And then concept D is we're back in the center. We're at where the old pool was in the bathhouse with the building, and we're down to 74 parking spaces as far as count, because we've got a smaller in the back, it's at 4.1 acres, we're at about 3.7. These are all round figures, and then we've got a configuration for parking on your existing parking. The nice thing about this scheme is this row of trees that are here right now to separate where the pool was and where that stays, best case scenario. So we try to look at trying to save as many trees as we can, but because we have such a tight spot, that we're trying to work this in. Sometimes one thing's got to give, or it's another element. But good thing about trees, we can always plant more, and they will grow. So those are the concepts that we have. Looking at three-dimensionally, concepts A and B are very similar. And you can see the pavilion there in the foreground, the building in the background. So it's showing that 1-story element, 1.5 stories probably for the fitness area and the front entrance, and then the higher elevation for the field house. And then concepts B and C. Now, concept B doesn't include the bathhouse, so which is shown in the center there, but it still gives you an idea of the difference. You can see the distance of the building and how it kind of pushes back in those schemes. So it's a little bit of an advantage, I think, from scale-wise and kind of keeping the pavilion maybe a little bit nicer neighbor. And then if you took a cross-section and you step back, and we were over across the street quite a ways back, and just look concepts A and D, and you see the pavilion and the building as it sits there, and then as it comes down to the creek on the right, and then the bottom scheme, bathhouse is right in the center. Of course, in B it's not there, but again, it shows how maybe the building pushed back a little bit is a nicer relationship to the, it doesn't make the pavilion feel too diminutive as far as the scale relationship to the building. Nice thing about this property is a beautiful property, and topography we typically would not have to deal with, but those are good things, and I think it's going to make the project even more special. Comment sheets, Dominic mentioned, he said, hopefully if you haven't got one, they're up here, please get one and fill up your comments, and I think we'll go back over your options.
So as you can see, we have some concepts, but it's still really rough ideas. We really want to get feedback so we can continue to move through the process and refine it and get closer to the reality of having a a building under construction. So we ask you to fill those out. We'll be around for a while afterwards to answer some questions. I know some people have signed up to address the board, so President Markham will kind of call you up based on just how you signed it.
All right, Archie Gavin.
Good evening, everybody.
Try to keep 3 minutes.
Name is Archie Gavin. I live at
If you can
2219.
come up to the middle, just because we have to record you, we have a recorder.
Name's Archie Gavin. I live at 2219 Belmont Avenue on the east side. I've known this park for 50 years. I used to walk through this park from Water Street. I like all these plans except one. Anything that keeps an old building that we have to maintain. I know what's in that building because when I helped start a First Tee program here in Joliet in partnership with the Park District, that was our headquarters. Buildings are gone. It needs to come down. The switch gear in that building is over 50 years old. I work for an electrical supply company. That building is a rat hole on the inside. But that's what we had to use before St. Joe's Hospital donated a trailer to us, which is out of Linwood now. But we were there for about 4 or 5 years because we taught kids to play golf. There was no spray can. We cut the grass, and that's what we used to chip golf off. I also went to school to be an architect before I decided to stop my education. There's no significance to that building in this company. I'm all about anything that's new, A, B, and D. Got my 100% support. And thanks for all you do. Thank you, because this is long overdue.
Thank you. Sharon Merwin.
Hi, my name is Sharon Merwin. I'm on the Joliet Historic Preservation Commission, and I'm here with one of our other commissioners, Hal Carlson. We have been approaching the Park District just about the historic nature of some of the buildings at the park, Nowell Park. There's the bathhouse, there's the pavilion, and then there's the former pool, and we know that the pool is gone. You may know that the land was donated by the Nowell family, Charles and Margaret Nowell, in 1927. It's on Historic Route 66, and that property is very much part of the community collective memory. The structures that are there are done in the Mission Revival style. That's very unique to Joliet. You don't see that in very many places. For any building that would be put on the property, our commissioners, some of us feel that some of the elements that are in that Mission Revival, how that parapet wall is, you see that on the pavilion, the bathhouse, that some of those features can be incorporated. Some of the features that are on the bathhouse now, maybe that could be incorporated in the new building. And the structures that are there, the bathhouse and the pavilion, they're the work of a notable architect. His name was Henry Webster Tomlinson. His own residence is in Joliet on about Western and Nicholson Street. He was the architect of Stateville Prison. He was a member of a group that's called the 18, and he was a founding member of the American School of Architecture in Chicago, and he practiced in the Steinway building in Chicago. So the structures that are there, we feel have some historic value. We do know that there's issues with the bathhouse. Probably one of our main concerns is that whatever's put there is appropriate in scale and in style, so it blends into something that all of us have known for a long time. And we want to continue discussions with the Park District. If structures stay, we might be interested in landmarking them because we do feel that they are notable structures. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
I'll just add, we had Mr. Carlson and I met with the city manager and kind of just did what we could do on the site. And one of our goals is to try to save that pavilion that's there. And then we would try to do, if the bathhouse is taken down, we would do some pictures and do some kind of storyboards to kind of talk about the architecture and the significance, whether it would be inside the building or outside the building or around the pavilion. So we'd like to work together on that to try to figure that out. But it's something we're concerned about and taking some hard looks at.
Golden, with Warren Sharp Community Center, and like other people, I grew up in that park. My kids, I have about 50 kids that come to summer camp. every year. And we use Nowell Park every single summer, sometimes more than once a week, because it is so beautiful, mature trees, the fields, the pavilions, the fact that it's free and that my kids can't afford to purchase recreational services somewhere. So one of my questions was already answered. My concern was that the creek was going to be disturbed and that the outdoor facilities on the south side of the creek would be disturbed, but that's not what's going to happen. This is all on the other side. Okay. So then my second concern, I guess, would be because we use that creek for science studies. We use it to test the water. We use the creek to catch tadpoles and learn about all kinds of things. And the park has a lot of history. And the park doesn't cost these kids anything. These are families that cannot afford to pay $30, $40, $80 a month to go to a recreation center. So that was my second concern, that there would be some provision or protocol made for the people who are already using the park but could not afford necessarily to purchase memberships, that there would be some provision made that our kids would be able to use the indoor facilities at specific times or different times, that kind of thing. Also, I'm kind of surprised that we don't have an indoor basketball court. The baseball is awesome. I mean, I love that, and soccer, but indoor basketball, there are so few places for them to play indoors in the wintertime that it seems to me like that would be a perfect fit. Is there, and I know you don't answer questions, but I'm just wondering why that's not included.
Well, we feel that, you know, from what we heard through the referendum talks, that soccer and baseball were some primary concerns. We do know that the high schools have pretty significant field houses that have basketball in them, so we're trying to kind of fill in that niche. But we do know that we will have the ability, while it's not part of phase one, that we could purchase wood floors that can go over the turf. They do that in the facility of Romeoville that we looked at. So we made sure that the size of whatever building is built, we're going to make sure that in the future you could put wood floors and have multiple basketball courts or volleyball.
Yeah, because the high school's not close at all, and during the wintertime, there are very few places for you to play basketball inside that are available. Very few. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have plans to do it tonight, but I'm sure we can put them up there. It'll take us a couple of days, probably.
Is there a board next?
Broadneck.
Right next, I'm sorry.
My name is Sarah Broadneck. I live on the east side. And my concern, for the lady she just said, about the cost. Because there's a lot of people that can't afford the prices at Inglewood. And another thing is, since I'm a senior, I pay here, but I'm in Lockwood. I mean, I pay taxes and go to the college. But I found Challenge Gym had put our lights because it lined up with my insurance, and Inglewood did. So now I'm concerned, will Nowell Park have something like that, called civil seniors, different things, for seniors, to get seniors going and moving? That's very important. So that's one of my concerns, the price and the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. Rollo Perez. You want to speak?
I didn't have anybody else speak. My concern is just that I volunteer coaching soccer, and sometimes it's hard to access a lot of facilities, whether it's basketball, soccer, baseball, whatever you do. Most of the facilities are on the west side. There's not much here, and sometimes it's hard to schedule practices or prices, things like that. So accessibility and prices, I think, is one of the
Raymond Dixon?
Renata.
Renata Dixon. Kay kind of answered my question, said the same thing I kind of said. There's nothing really here that children, our children can play basketball. My son's a wrestling coach, and he goes around and look to find places for his kids for residents. He's part of this little warrior, the little county warrior, and lucky he has a place right now. But so far, it looks like it's on something. I don't play lacrosse. I don't play soccer. I love baseball, so that's a good thing. But what else can we have here for children of other minorities? And to make it reasonable for them. Because I'd love to have, you have something for me, you're going to have to fit this in. But I do need something for grandchildren.
My name is Rifus C. Brown, and I live at 2201 Spencer Road. And I was wondering, was there any consideration given to any type of indoor swimming facility for the son? At one time, there was a pool, and there's absolutely nothing in that section of town. There's swimming for our children. And my grandchildren ask me about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak?
My name's Hal Carlson, and I'm an architect, and I've been a resident of Joliet all my life. I've lived on the east side, I've lived on the west side. You know, it's what's sort of, the whole site is very, one of the comments, Mr. Galvin's comment was that the building isn't very, it's a pretty negative building. Well, it's never going to be a bathhouse again. At best, it could maybe be a public washroom, or it could be maybe some kind of a storage building at best. The inside of the building is just useless. The only thing that's any importance is the historic importance of it. It's a style, it's called Mission style. It was a sort of Hispanic style that turned the century. It was very popular. There were 4 or 5 buildings of significance in Joliet. There was of that Mission style. One was the Renaissance Center, and we all know where that's at. There was a building behind the Rialto building, which was torn down 10 years ago, is gone. There was a medical clinic that's near the Renaissance Center that's been torn down. So it is a style that was very prominent at the turn of the century. It no longer is in style, but it's important to Joliet. Everybody says, well, you know, history is for the intellectuals and the architects and all the people that read the history books. No, history isn't about that. History is about you and me. When I was a kid, when Mr. Galvin was 50 years ago, I learned how to swim at the Nowell Pool. I was there all during my high school years. All 4 years I was there swimming every spare minute I could. It's an important part of my life in a way. It's my history in a building. And those things are worth saving. I'm not saying we, put these buildings in glass palaces or anything like that. They're not that, but they are important to all of us, all of us. And that was a comment that I wish I would have signed up for. I say that, I thought that's important. But 2 other things that I wanted to address to the park district is there any possibility, there's this floodplain there, is there any possibility that there could be ice skating at this site? I know that, God, when I was a kid, that, there was ice skating at what used to be Farragut School. You could ice skate at the pond, and you could ice skate at the Hickory Creek and Pilcher Park there. Is that possible? And the last thing is, so the last time I was over there, the area, there's a triangular portion of forest area that's directly east of where the parking lot, where the tennis courts are at. It's a very beautiful natural spot with a lot of wonderful natural trees. Could that be used for something? Could that be used for an outdoor, a routine where someone, guys, you go through the trip, parallel bars and all different kinds of things, and go through a natural environment. One question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Gary Lesher, I live at 337 South Hollywood, 6th Church. My deepest concern was to see 2 soccer fields. In simple words, I know very few black children who play soccer. But I know a ton of black children who play basketball. So what I'm asking for is not somewhere down the line, whenever 10 years, from day one, when that place opens, I'd like to see a gym in there. Secondly, I saw your exercise court. I'll be 80 in a couple weeks. I don't pump iron. I never did. That's my body. But I would love to walk. And could you put a walking path around for us older folks? That's our exercise. We walk. And then thirdly,
that's part of the plan. There is.
it is. Thirdly, what's your pay schedule? I mean, if we had a gym and we rented that gym out, you know, we get the churches, sponsor teams like we did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, we can do it. We will do it. So what's it going to cost to rent this facility? And to get that out to us as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yes.
Not only folks all like 101 along with that walking trail could be a walking trail / bike trail also. Because it would be nice to ride around the park. Once you ride my bike from my house to the park, do some last day with the gym. So could you consider not only a walking trail, outdoor walking trail, but also include a bike trail also?
We currently existing in the park and by the baseball diamond is a little bit of walking trail with some outdoor fitness equipment already that exists today.
So you're saying that's not in the plan because you think it's already there?
The indoor walking track is in the plans. There is part of a walking trail that's towards the baseball diamond, but there'll be some work to tie in the parking lots and all those kind of things. Over that bridge that goes over the creek.
I'll be brief. Amy Sanchez, 110 Cross Avenue. I think it's awesome that everybody came out here, and I think what I'm hearing from everyone is that as far as programming and activities, a lot of diversity to reach all levels and all needs east of the river, which is what we've been needing for quite some time. My only challenge and request to the commissioners as well as the staff is to, with the spirit of inclusion, keep information flowing when it comes time to break ground, when it comes time to meetings similar to this, that we include the community, we make as much public information public on websites or through using, the neighborhood organizations and various different ones that are existing in what we're doing to keep this information and the diversity of it. I applaud everybody for getting up and saying what's on their mind about what can we do, but I think the purpose of coming out and staking up tonight's meeting is to say what we would like to see there, because this is our referendum that passed, that we worked hard to get passed, and it is going to be in our neighborhoods with our children patroning it as well. So thank you, and definitely use us to get information out to the hundreds of people that could be here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Robinson, and I'm going to echo what Ms. Moulton said. I'm kind of confused about a lacrosse field. I'm the former athletic director from Wilmette, and I live in Joliet. And lacrosse is up north. It's a North Shore sport. I do know that. And it was hard for us to field teams up north, and there were not many fields there. So I'm kind of confused why we're putting a lacrosse field instead of a basketball court, where I see kids dragging basketball courts out into the middle of the street, on the side of the street, in the cul-de-sacs. I don't see kids walking around with lacrosse sticks to play lacrosse. So it just doesn't compute to see a lacrosse field. And I understand soccer because soccer is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States. That makes sense. And we have a population of kids that love soccer. But lacrosse, it's so hard to digest. It really is. It's an East Coast college sport, scholarships. But there are no kids in our neighborhoods looking for lacrosse scholarships. So it's just so confusing. So we'd love to see a basketball court for our kids to have somewhere to play. Thank you.
I think the point with lacrosse is the field is basically a blank slate. So it's a turf field, so we could play soccer, we could do baseball, we could do lacrosse, we could do anything that you do on grass. It's not specifically going to be a lacrosse field in there. We're trying to show that it's a blank slate that we can do as many different activities.
Yeah, and I understand that, I get that it's a blank slate, but you're saying lacrosse, but there's no basketball, we're gonna bring the basketball court possibly in another phase. Why not that first? And baseball has died in the African American community, and that's just the reality of it. So unless we're gonna be renting it out to all the travel team, which I suspect that's what's gonna happen, as opposed to our community.
Anybody else? Yes.
Just a couple of things. I'm not signed up to speak, but I'm speaking anyways. I'm here. The basketball court is a necessity. That's got to happen on the front end. One of the things, though, and I'm going to step back a minute, one of the things that has to happen before we go any further with the plan, and I appreciate that you've done this, we've got people here, and I applaud everybody being out here tonight. Before we can go any further with any building or with the permanent plan, we need to have more meetings so we can get more of the community in, so they can see that. So they can have that chance to have their input and say what they need, what they want to have in the facility beyond what's on the plan. This is a draft, and it's a good start, but we need to have more community input before we go any further. So that's number one. Number two is there are some talks happening apart from these discussions about how we can link in the Forest Preserve to Nowell Park, running the current path. We have a path that runs behind the health department now. So linking a loop onto that will run across the face of the park, down Mills Road, and then down Chicago Street all the way to the Laramie Crossing, which would allow us to have bike and walk paths to the park so that those people at Preston Heights, seniors can have bike and ride up, children can safely get into the park. That allows us to maximize the money that we put into the park for the upgrades. So that's a better deal all the way around. We're also having some talks with State of Illinois and IDOT in order to try and facilitate that. And we move the end of that trail into the back end of the Forest Preserve. So that's one of the things that's going independently, but that supports this work. But the main thing is, more conversations need to happen before we get to any kind of final plan. So I'm going to offer up St. John's Fellowship Hall. I've had a conversation with Brooks, and he's already on board. And I'm talking behind his back. He wasn't able to be here tonight. As another source, and I'm sure Father React can count on you to give us the hall, so we can have at least 2 more, if not more, community meetings, so that people have a chance to come out, say what they need, what's important to them, how they want their money, because it is their money, to be spent in support of their communities.
Amen.
You mentioned IDOT. Is there any concerns with IDOT and that traffic? And I know this is separate from Park District, but is there any concerns with IDOT or with the Forest Preserve about the traffic flow coming in right there? You know how 53 right there is trucks pavement. Is there anything concerned with this or with the bike trails or the Forest Preserve?
The thing that we were trying to get IDOT to agree to is that on the east shoulder of Chicago Street, that would be the side closest to the park, we push the shoulder back so that there is the bike and the walk path. So the kids who are now riding really in the street, walking in the street, are off the shoulder on a paved expanse leading up to the park, and then run it the other way across the face of the park, the Mills Road face, so that it connects to the bike and walk trail that's behind the health department now. So it can connect there, and then at the south end by Laramie Road, so that it will connect both ways, so it can connect to the loop. So working with IDOT on that, trying to get that done. And that's not the Park District's responsibility, but we're trying to do that as a support for what they're trying to do.
Awesome. Great job. Thanks.
Any questions for me? And I need to see the work too.
Anybody else want to address the board? If not, we will stick around and we look at the drawings. We thank everyone for coming out. We pride ourselves in the Park District of being open-minded, listening to residents. I think you witnessed that when we went out for the referendum. The committee chaired by Terry Darcy, went out and listened to residents, what they wanted, you know, so we are very open-minded. The one thing that we want to make sure is this facility is self-sufficient. We fortunately lose a lot of money in the Hartman Center. We're always looking for ways to keep the revenue, keep the doors open, and not be a tax burden on the taxpayers. So we thank you. We plan on having, we know there's some other events going on tonight, so we plan on having another meeting or so to get input. But like I said, it's your park district. You passed the referendum. We're here to make sure your wishes are, if we can do it, we can carry them through, but we have to keep an open mind about we have to make the place self-sufficient, where it's got to create some revenue coming into it too. It's a big building, it's going to take a lot of heat, a lot of electricity. So, yes.
You just said something, the Hartman Center is having problems as far as funding, keeping everything going, as far as losing revenue. Why not put a soccer field out here? Where they come in here already into soccer. Why not here? And then that way you can compensate for other things.
Well, I mean, you know, we're not going to take, but we need a 4-acre facility.
Okay.
This is quite big enough. We're kind of landlocked here. The parking is actually an issue here nearly quite all the time. So, yes, ma'am.
I heard you say that you wanted to make sure that no park be self-sufficient. Well, haven't our tax dollars went over to Inwood to help that be self-sufficient?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Inwood is self-sufficient. We want to make sure this is self-sufficient.
That's
Inwood
what I'm
creates
saying.
revenue.
So why you wouldn't think that no park would be self-sufficient?
Oh, I'm planning on being, so we are planning on it. We're counting on it being self-sufficient. That it's going to make money. We're going to be able to keep improving with the money we're making on it. So.
And a part of it being self-sufficient is that people speak up so that you get what you want in there,
Right.
so that you're using it on a regular basis, paying whatever fees are associated with it, so that it can maintain itself.
Right. Yeah.
Another question is Silver Cross for St. Joseph. You have St. Joseph's physical fitness and everything over there at Inwood. Is there a way that you could probably hopefully get maybe Silver Cross or someone to do a facility like that?
We would love to have sponsors. Right, Brad? Yeah. We're always looking for corporate sponsors to work with, so that would be great.
We do want comments, I mean, that's why we did this, so please turn them in. You can leave them on the table over there, over here, we'll collect them.
And Vice President Schultz, just want to remind you, we have our board meeting is the fourth Monday of every month, so feel free to come out because all the referendum projects, I'm sure, are going to be continually talked about as we move forward here. So feel free to come out to the board meeting. If they're at 5 o'clock in the boardroom, which is right by the ice rink.